Good morning. It's good to be with you again today. And I'm just going to say it as I have in the past. We will be building on the four pillars of a healthy Christian business leader. And last week we were talking about healthy relationships. And this week we're talking about biblical financial values. And the next week we'll be looking at biblical spirituality. And then the following week after that, balanced living. And throughout the months, I'll be just continuing to rotate through those four pillars and dealing with different topics related to those particular, pillars. So today, again, pillar number 2 for this week, and biblical financial values. And the topic for this week is simply, when is enough enough? So when do we say, okay, I've done it, I've arrived, I've got enough? And so this morning is the question, can you ever have too much? Is there, ever a time when you say, you know what, I've got too much money, I've got too much house, I've got too much of whatever. Is that ever possible? Well, this may seem like an odd question. And most of us often feel that we just need to make, a little bit more to make ends meet. And often we feel that there's a little bit more month than there is money. And so we come to the end of the month and we're scrambling to just kind of, be able to get through the month. And that can be a real challenge. Well, today, as we do that, the challenge that is that this creates, of course, is that we try to get a little bit more. And but if we're honest with ourselves, what happens is we get more, but then we also tend to spend more. And so, we get more, we spend more, and we usually spend more in proportion to what we have made, making this literally a never-ending cycle. This race is a race that we cannot win. We just keep saying, oh, I need more, and then we get more, and then we spend more, and then we just keep going in circles like that. Solomon, one of the great kings of Israel, wrote in the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes, a lot of people think it's a depressing book, but actually it's a really good book because it really helps to drive home some of the truths that we might not like. But it's important for us to wrestle through some of the questions. And the big question that he wrestles with is, again, when is enough enough? When have I arrived? Now, understand that he tried it all. He tried everything. He worked like crazy hours. He collected as much money as he could. He collected as much goods as he could. He had, women and all of that. And, he was running after everything. Everything you could possibly imagine, he was going after it. And I know the temptation is to say, well, if I was rich, I would. I've been there. If I was rich, if I had all that money, if I was like Solomon and I had all the wealth that you could possibly imagine, sure, I would be, and you can fill in the blank of that with whatever you want to put in there, If I was rich, I would, and you just fill in the blank, whatever that is. Good morning, Eric. Good to see you on here this morning. And, I could do that, and you would, but the reality is, if we do that, we're just kidding ourselves. We are kidding ourselves, because if we're honest, and we think that we wouldn't be like Solomon, we fool ourselves. He calls it striving after the wind, or vanity of vanities. And it really is this idea of just running after the wind, trying to get more. And the reality is, as you try to get more, it's never enough. And a good example of that in our world is John D Rockefeller. John D Rockefeller was asked how much more money he needed. And you know what his answer was? His answer was just a little bit more. Now, who was John D Rockefeller? Now, some of you would know, some might not. Well, at his peak, he was, his wealth, had the net worth of 1% of the United States economy. So he was a rich man. He owned 90% of all the oil and gas industry of his time. Compared to today's rich guys, Rockefeller makes Bill Gates and Warren Buffett look like paupers. Makes them look like they're poor guys. You know, we look at Bill Gates and Warren Buffett today and we say, wow. Well, Rockefeller had far more than they. And yet, when he was asked, how much more do you need? He didn't say, oh, I've got enough. I don't need anything more. I'm good. Hey, man, I got more money than I could ever spend. No, that wasn't his answer. His answer was simply, I need a little bit more. And so that brings me to the challenge this morning, and that is this: to know how much is enough, we need to define enough. You need to define enough, I need to define enough for myself. Today, ask yourself about what is enough. Today, as you go about your day, ask yourself this question: am I just running after the wind? Or have I already determined for myself what is going to be enough? And so my challenge to you today is, as you are going about your day, ask yourself this: am I running after the wind? And then may we define clearly what is enough, so that we know that we have arrived at our goal. If we don't know what enough is, then we'll never arrive. We'll never feel that we've accomplished it. We'll never be at a place where we say, okay, I'm good. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings. You know, and of course, this is going to be different in different places. Like my friend in Kenya, it's going to be different for him than it's going to be different for people in Canada, United States, or in Europe. But whatever and wherever you are, determine what is enough. And then set that as your goal. And then once you reach that, be content. And we'll be talking more about that kind of a concept throughout this week. Have a great day. May the Lord bless you.